Opposing sides in war share little, other than perhaps a battlefield and the longing to go home. Glenn Stockdale of Billings, Montana, did come home. He fought the Japanese in the Pacific until 1945. As a young staff sergeant, he saw things most of us can't even imagine. And until the day he died, at age 84, kept most of it to himself.
Never talked about the war.
It just sort of, he just locked it all away.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's Glenn's son, Terry. What he knew of his dad's service came mostly from rummaging through his father's old footlocker.
It was in the basement, so as kids you go down and look at it, see what's in here, what's in there.
Among other things, Terry found a Japanese flag, carefully folded, stained with blood, and covered in writing. Then he found another, and another.
They were memories of the war, a trophy, spoils of war.
Collecting them was commonplace. Pictures abound of U.S. servicemen posing with the flags. Known as a Yosagaki Hinamaru, Japanese soldiers carried them as keepsakes into battle, good luck charms of sorts, with wishes from family and friends scrawled around the rising sun. Keepsakes in battle. But in Glenn Stockdale's footlocker, the flags had become just ghosts of a long-ago enemy. And nearing the end of his father's life, Terry suggested it was time the flags go home.
What did you say to him?
I thought it'd be nice to send it back to Japan.
And
he said no.
Because?
Must be the hate from fighting people and just war. I don't know what that does to individuals. I've never been there.
So that's where things, and the flags, sat for more than a decade, until Terry heard another World War II vet speak of the flags. His name was Leland Bud Lewis. Bud was in the same infantry division as Terry's father, the 41st. They never met. Bud was behind the front lines, sending the bombs and the bullets up. Something that at age 95, Bud still doesn't take lightly.
I provided all the ammunition that killed all these folks. And I'm not exactly totally happy that I did that. But at the time, that was my job. I couldn't question that.
Why now? Why is it important, you think, to return the flags now?
It's a closure. You can't keep hating people.
Inspired, Terry Stockdale packed up one of his father's flags and mailed it to the only place he thought could help. A home in a small town along the Columbia River in Washington, where the flags are celebrated with a ceremony.
This is not the flag, it is the spirit of the soldier. We are wishing he can find a way to find a family in Japan.
Keiko and her husband, Rex Zeke, run a nonprofit called the OBON Society. In Japan, OBON is a festival honoring the spirits of ancestors. They've turned their attic into a makeshift war flag research center.
When we started out, we thought we were just helping Japanese families receive heirlooms. Then, as this progressed, we realized we were connecting these families.
Lots of personal message and many signatures.
Keiko's own grandfather died fighting in the Pacific, but his grave is empty.
No bone, no remaining item, nothing came back.
But one day, his flag did.
We all thought that the spirit of the grandfather finally wanted to come home to see us.
It had such a profound effect. They wanted to see if they could identify more soldiers' flags and send them back to Japan. Once word got out, they were stunned. Flags from veterans or their families started arriving almost weekly.
Sometimes they include photographs of their father as a soldier or family pictures of themselves now. It's just this, it is this connection of this family to this family that were brought together through war.
So far, they've reunited about 60 flags with Japanese families and have more than 100 they're still researching, all at their own expense.
I mean, you guys have essentially spent your life savings to do this.
But it's just very important things to do.
Terry Stockdale waited and hoped. And then came word that the OBON Society had traced his flag back to a man named Yosugushu Kishi, a young soldier who kissed his wife, his 7-month-old son, and his 2-year-old daughter goodbye, and never saw them again. Those children, Masaru, now 73, and his sister, Kayoko, 75, both live outside Osaka. They knew little of their father until one day last December, the phone rang.
まさかっていうほんまにね。
When I got the call, I thought this was impossible. My mind just went blank. After 70 years, I never dreamed something of my father's would surface.
They found out Terry not only had their father's flag, but he wanted to come to Japan to deliver it himself. Anxious, they met Terry at the train station. What happened next says it all.
I mean, yeah, that's just beyond comprehension what it meant to them. It's just kind of, it just wasn't some souvenir. It was actually their father coming home.
Terry officially handed it over at a formal ceremony, and then stepped back to watch two people who never knew their father unfurl his flag together.
We
don't know the warmth of his hands, the sound of his voice. I can't remember a thing about my father. And I said, "I'm sorry, Dad," to that flag. I'm so sorry.
Now, where Mr. Kishi prays, sits a framed photo of Terry, a captured moment, a generation in the making.
The old saying, it's better to give than receive. It just feels so good to do something for somebody.
As for his own father, well, Terry hopes that Staff Sergeant Glenn Stockdale is also finally at peace.
He'd be proud of me. He would know it's the right thing to do.